Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the semester's final episode of Spurs Up. As always, alongside Matt Bumbaka, I'm Jack Taylor, and this week we've got your final Gamecock run of the semester. You know, a lot of sports are either coming to a close or starting right up, or some are just right in the middle. As what we're talking about, football, they just beat Akron a couple weeks back, and they're looking forward to their bowl game against Virginia in the Belk Bowl. That'll be December 29th, and that'll be an exciting matchup, I think. So, Bumbaka, talk a little bit first about the Akron game.
Yeah, the Akron game was Deebo Samuel's last game as a Gamecock at Williams-Brice Stadium. He had 3 total touchdowns, 2 receiving, and he recovered a blocked punt in the end zone for a touchdown. It was great to see him have 3 touchdowns in his last game as Gamecock.
He's always had such an impact on the team. You know, the 3 touchdowns, as you said, against Akron. I believe 3 as well against Clemson in that game.
Yep.
And he's done all of that for the past 6 weeks with a cracked rib. So that's why he's sitting out this final bowl game. He figured, you know, trying to keep a career in the NFL possible, he would rest, wait it out, and see what he can do. So best of luck to him. Hopefully he has a lot of success in the NFL and can be another one of those players that has brought so much pride to South Carolina. I think the bowl game is going to be a very exciting matchup. I think that Bentley will perform fairly well. He's come off of 2 very good games against Clemson and Akron. I know we lost the Clemson game, but that was nowhere near his fault. He was playing out of his mind both of those games. And
statistically had the best game of a Gamecock quarterback, throwing for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Exactly. So, and I think normally the issues that we have with him is that he can be inconsistent, which I think he's kind of started to recover from. He's also sometimes uncomfortable in new places and against new teams. Now, granted, this Virginia team is someone we've never faced before. However, being in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium is not something he is unfamiliar with. Last year when we played NC State, it was the first game of the season, and it was at Bank of America, and that was a very good matchup where Bentley performed very well. So I think that he and a lot of the seniors and the juniors on this team, and you know even some freshmen and sophomores, are familiar with Bank of America Stadium. They played there last year, and they'll be playing their first game of next season against North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium.
Scoring 35 points against a strong NC State defense with guys like Bradley Chubb and B.J. Hill up front, both productive rookies in the NFL today. And for Jake Bentley, I think his season really changed at Ole Miss this year when the Gamecock offense finally erupted for over 40 points in that game. I think the final score was 48-44, and Jake Bentley really hasn't looked back ever since.
No, he hasn't. I mean, ever since the Kentucky game, you know, we were questioning whether or not he'd be able to lead this team, and then from then to Ole Miss, he was kind of in limbo. The Missouri game, he was, you know, injured, you could say, and Skarnecchia had to start, and he performed really well, and then after that, they put Bentley in a bit more.
They put the pressure on him, and he really came out, and he finally, you know, played up to his expectations.
And I think that's why they kept him in all those games versus, you know, Chattanooga or against Akron, when there's bigger games on the horizon, but they need to build his confidence up, and they need to build his consistency up.
Yeah, the biggest thing on that Akron game, I think, is the Gamecock defense really stepped up. They're going to get some guys back with the time off between now and the bowl game, but a lot of young guys like safety R.J. Roderick played very well as stepping up in that Akron game, and that secondary has been decimated by injuries, but hopefully they get some guys healthy for the bowl game coming up December 29th.
It should be an exciting matchup. Moving on to basketball, they're on a 2-game losing streak, and by no means are they 2 bad games. I mean, the Wyoming game was a bit rough to watch, and the Michigan game was so close there at the end, ended up losing by, I believe, 9 points. And so, what do you take away from that?
Well, they lost by 11 to Michigan, and Michigan's a really tough place to go and win up there in Ann Arbor. The UNC Tar Heels got blown out there just a couple of weeks ago, and Michigan has also blew out Villanova as well. 2 really good basketball programs. The Gamecocks finally seemed to get something out of their leader in Chris Silva. That was huge for them, and following these 2 road losses to Wyoming and Michigan, they will be hosting the number 4 team in the country, the Virginia Cavaliers, at Colonial Life Arena. That is just a couple of days before the bowl game, actually 10 days to be exact. And it is going to be interesting to see how they handle the Cavaliers after going up to Michigan and playing the number 5 team in the country.
It'll be right at the beginning of winter break, so unfortunately there won't be as much of a student presence in Colonial Life Arena as there normally is, but hopefully Frank and the team can keep everyone excited and keep everyone, you know, invested in the game. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's so important to see Chris Silva kind of bring that fire back to the team. early in the season, you saw a lot of the playmaking and a lot of the excitement came from Justin Minaya. As you know, he's out for, I believe, indefinitely.
Extended period of time.
An extended period of time with his injury. So with him being out, someone needed to take hold of the team. And Silva, he's done it before. He did it most of last season, and he's started to do it again. So hopefully he can keep on that momentum and keep building as a leader.
Yeah, the Gamecock defense is something that they could hang their hat on. They've played some strong defense so far this season. It's tough for them to put the ball in the basket. When it comes to the defensive side of the ball, they've created 16 total turnovers a game, averaging 16 turnovers a game, and they played pretty well.
And then moving on to Gamecocks women's basketball, they had a game they were supposed to play yesterday against Duke at Duke, but apparently there was a lot of weather up there in North Carolina, so that game got canceled. They will look forward to play Purdue at Purdue on Sunday. So that should be a fairly interesting matchup. They are just holding on for dear life in that top 25, as they know they had a loss at the hands of Baylor and a big loss at that a couple weeks back. So ever since then, they've been kind of trying to figure out how they can stay in this top 25. I think Taya Cooper has done pretty much everything she can to propel this team and keep it going. But at some point, you got to get some help from your other players.
Yeah, the team has suffered with the loss of Asia Wilson, not being in the top 5 perennial powerhouse range, but I think that they will regain that status next year when they have 4 incoming 5-star recruits. Dawn Staley has recruited very well, and the team is going to bounce back. This is just a down year for Gamecock women's basketball.
And as we said earlier, and as I'm sure you all know, this is Matt Bumbaka's last episode as my co-host. He'll be moving on to senior semester next year, which takes up pretty much all your time. So Matt, I just want to thank you for all that you've done for me and you've done for this show. It's been a pleasure to have you on for the past year, and excited to see what you do in senior semester.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. You've been a great co-host, and you've taken this show to new heights. I really can't wait to see what you do with it next semester. I want to thank our producer, Emma Milner, our technical director, Vincent Arceo, and the studio coordinator, Britt Hogg. Without them, this show wouldn't be possible, and it's been a pleasure co-hosting Spurs Up with you, Jack, for the past year, and can't thank you guys enough.
Want to close it out?
Until next time, South Carolina. Spurs up.